If I was telling you the number one thing about sharing your faith, I would say the most important thing to do is hear God and obey. Now, the reason that I've discovered this truth for myself is because I've seen that it works. And when I actually hear what God has to say to me, I go and do what I feel like God has said, there's been some instant results, and it's the most exciting thing in your walk with God to continue to see God working in your life and working in the lives of others. So I'll tell you a story. It happened about 12 years ago, and it changed the way that I think. Now, what we did is we prayed and asked God who we should talk to. And I felt like God say to me, you need to talk to this woman. Now, the woman was standing over in the corner of the park, and she was screaming, literally, like, "Wah!" And I felt like God said to me, you need to tell her Jesus loves you. And I was like, no way. I'm like, is that really you, God? And I deliberated on that for quite a while until the screaming left. And honestly, I thought, phew, that was lucky. But you know, immediately I felt that there was something in my heart that actually said, Morag, you've disobeyed. So what I did is I told my friend that I was with, I said, look, I felt like God say that I was to tell this woman that Jesus loves you. So I spent time praying right there and then and saying, I'm sorry, God, could you please bring the woman back? Because you know, if I'm going to say sorry, then I need to ask God for another chance. So that's exactly what happened. In the distance was this, and I could not believe it, and I was shaking like a leaf, but I did. I went up to her and I was just like, Jesus loves you. And immediately I said that, it was like, bang, something happened. And within moments, it was like her hand was in my hand, and we were actually laughing and joking about the colour of our skin. Well, actually, she was saying to me that I had freckles, and I was saying how beautiful her brown skin was. But this is just one example of something that happened in my life. And the thing that went with that is that lady Carrie gave her life to Christ that night. And not only did she make a commitment to follow Jesus, but 3 of her friends who was with her did the same thing. 2 weeks later, when I went back, her son Richard actually said to me, what have you done to my mother? Now, he wasn't ready to give his life to Jesus, but I was actually able to tell him what it meant to do that. And I do hope that he has actually made a commitment. Now, going back to my original point, hearing God and obeying, it's just so important that we do just that. And if we've discovered at some time that we haven't listened to God or haven't obeyed God, we need to go back, ask Him for forgiveness, and ask Him for another chance. Now, it is a really bold thing, yes, to go up to someone and say, Jesus loves you. But I did it because God spoke to me. The creator of the universe said to me those words. And you know what? They worked.